speaking, okay? I drove down the other day. I drove on my own. I'm not asking anybody to pay for my gasoline or any hotel room or anything. No one's going to do that. I'm really concerned when I see the legitimate legislative purpose of, under the color of law. We are in this beautiful building. We are sitting down in this pit, and it's a good reminder to me because for 20 years I was on the upper table, and now here I am down here. I'm concerned because it seems to me that there are certain members of this committee, certain powerful members of the committee, who are bearing in on trying to find a very particular instance of what they view as criminal misconduct. Now, jail is a bad place to be. Nobody wants to go there. You start raising the specter of criminal liability, of someone being put in handcuffs and going into a jail cell. My God, besides taking somebody's life, that's the second most ultimate power and most widely used one to our criminal justice system, deprivation of liberty. And when I see that exercised under the color, the pretense, I think, of, gee, we want to see what needs to be adjusted in our legislation so that we can fulfill the purpose of what is set out on our official website as the purpose of this committee, which is to investigate and refer matters to other committees and to other governmental agencies for the purpose of legislation. But I see, frankly, the words that came to mind and what motivated me to drive down here on Saturday night and Sunday morning, it's a witch hunt. And it's a witch hunt based, and I mean that, because the people who were persecuted and killed during the witch trials, we forget that. Actual people were tortured to death under the color of law for a violation of a crime that did not exist. And I see something very similar happening here. And the other thing that's very clear for me from observing this committee is you are all smart people. You are all very smart people. So it's not like you're kind of wandering into this and just picking out random phrases of criminal liability and jail and maximum potential jail penalties and unclassed misdemeanors and Class C felony. And I say to myself, my God, this is so divorced from the legitimate exercise of legislative power, and I mean that in several ways, including the constitutional separation of powers. The prosecution of a crime is for the executive branch of government. It is not for the legislature. The legislature is to legislate. It's for the prosecuting attorney to work with sworn law enforcement officers to develop grounds if there was a violation of the criminal law. And it seems eminently clear to me from your first witnesses, who I think were two notaries public at the first hearing about 3 weeks ago, and then the ensuing discussion that I could kind of suss out from the members of the committee, and was the subject of back and forth between Mr. Lancaster and at least one other member of this committee, is, okay, so if somebody changed an address, when the person whose address was changed, and I see in one of your exhibits here, it's the big thick one I was looking through, that you have all of the affidavits from the petition circulators saying, yes, this reflects the truth. This amendment or redaction, and I agree with whoever said it, but for different reasons. It wasn't really a redaction. Redaction means to black something out, so it was an amendment. But you have here, unless these affidavits, or I misunderstand them, which I don't think I do, the people signing the affidavits, I'm sorry, I don't have the I don't want to take the time to read through them, but I believe if addresses were changed, I think the record will show, based on my observations of what happened at the first hearing, that it was done either at the request or with the permission of the person whose address was changed. And far from being something that we ought to bring the full force and weight of the executive branch of criminal investigation and criminal prosecution. If someone wants to correct something, to bring a legal document in conformity with the regulations of law, that seems to be something that we should be praising, not looking for a way to punish.